What if I told you there's a strategy more powerful than silence, more devastating than walking away? A strategy that doesn't just make them miss you, it makes them question everything they thought they knew about you. No contact. That's just step one. It's silence. But silence still hopes. Silence still waits. And hope, when placed in the hands of someone who hurt you, is weakness. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That is where your real strategy begins. Not with distance, but with transformation. Not with waiting, but with becoming. This isn't about games. It's not about revenge. It's about control. Control over your thoughts. Control over your emotions. Control over the story you're about to write. Epictetus taught, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And in that truth lies your greatest weapon. Because when they expect you to crumble, you rise. When they imagine you waiting, you evolve. And when they finally look back, you're already gone, not out of bitterness, but because you've outgrown the need to be chosen. This is the strategy they fear most, because it leaves them with nothing to hold on to, no weakness to exploit, no version of you left to control. Seneca wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage, but to rise from heartbreak, to rebuild in silence, to reclaim your power, that is more than courage. That is transformation." So if you're ready, not just to move on, but to become untouchable, then let's begin. 1. The truth about no contact. Why it's not enough. You've gone silent. You haven't called, haven't texted. You're telling yourself, "I'm strong now." But deep down, you're still waiting. You check your phone first thing in the morning, hoping to see her name. You scroll through old photos like they still hold meaning. You sit in silence, but your mind screams her name. This isn't freedom. It's just a prettier form of bondage. You see, no contact is not a cure. It's a pause. It's a step, but not the destination. Because if your peace still depends on her return, then she still controls your story. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the line most men forget. No contact focuses on outside events, on her reaction. True Stoic strength begins within, on what you choose to think, to feel, to become. So many use no contact like it's a trick. They think, "If I disappear, she'll come crawling back." But Stoicism doesn't play games. Stoicism says, don't disappear to get her attention. Disappear because her presence no longer deserves yours. Let that sink in. Disappearing isn't about her missing you. It's about you remembering you. Seneca said, "Until we have begun to go without them, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are." That includes her validation, her apology, her regret. None of it is necessary for your healing. You don't need her to regret losing you. You need to stop needing her, because the more you seek closure, the more you give her power. And as long as you wait, hope, check, wonder, you're not building strength. You're postponing it. No contact, when done with expectation, is still attachment. And attachment leads to suffering. Epictetus reminds us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. But freedom isn't achieved by pretending, it's achieved by releasing. So let her go, not out of pride, but out of peace. Let her go, because what's meant for you will never require you to beg. And if she ever comes back, you'll realize something powerful. You won't even want her anymore, because the man you've become doesn't chase what walks away. He attracts what aligns. No contact is just the beginning. Detachment is the real destination. And once you arrive there, you'll understand what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." You don't get even. You rise above. You don't wait for her return. You walk toward your own. 2. The power of indifference, beyond no contact. There comes a moment when you realize silence is not enough. No contact feels strong, until you admit you're still hoping she'll notice. You've gone quiet, but she still lives in your mind. Every thought, every memory, every scroll through her profile is proof that she still holds space inside you. That's not power. That's waiting in disguise. But then something shifts. You wake up one day, and the ache begins to dull. You start to see clearly, and you say to yourself, "This ends now." No more checking. No more wondering. No more invisible strings tying you to the past. That's when indifference is born. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." Indifference is that choice. Not pretending you don't care, but genuinely not needing her anymore. You no longer block her to make a point. You don't post to get attention. You don't bait with silence. You simply move on. Fully, completely, permanently. Because true indifference is not about avoiding her. It's about erasing the emotional grip she once had over you. You don't just cut contact. You cut the cord within your mind. Seneca said, "He who suffers before it is necessary, suffers more than is necessary." And that's exactly what you're done with unnecessary suffering. She doesn't occupy your nights anymore. Her laughter doesn't echo in your silence. Her absence is no longer your pain, because her presence is no longer your need. This isn't bitterness. This is evolution. You no longer want her back. Not because you hate her, but because you've outgrown the version of yourself that needed her. That's what confuses her most. Not your anger, not your silence, but the fact that you're not trying, not chasing, not waiting. You're simply unbothered. Epictetus taught, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation, and you're no longer complicit. She might reach out. She might test the waters. She might wonder why you disappeared without a word. But you won't flinch. You won't explain. You won't engage. Because indifference doesn't answer the door, it doesn't even hear the knock. This is the level that breaks them. Not your pain, but your peace. Not your silence, but your strength. You've stopped performing, stopped proving, stopped needing. Now you live for you, and in doing so, you become untouchable, because the most powerful man is not the one who makes her miss him. It's the one who no longer cares whether she does. 3. The fall. It always starts the same way. You think you're safe. You think what you have is solid, real. Late-night talks, shared laughter, moments that felt eternal. You looked into her eyes and believed, this is it. She won't leave. But then, she does. And she doesn't explain. She doesn't fight. She just walks away. Like it all meant nothing. No warning. No closure. Just silence. And the sound of your world collapsing. You stare at the phone, rereading her last message, as if staring hard enough could somehow change the outcome. But it doesn't. It never does. Your room feels emptier. Your bed too big. The silence unbearable. And every song, every memory, becomes a weapon turned against you. You remember the way she laughed, the way she looked at you like you were her world. But now, she looks at you like a stranger. Worse, like you never existed. And that's what hurts the most. Not the goodbye, but how quickly, how easily she erased you. Meanwhile, you're stuck, staring into the past like a broken statue, wishing you could go back, fix something, say something, be someone else. Your mind becomes a battlefield, torn between hate and hope. You ask yourself, was I too soft, too kind, not enough? You torture yourself with questions that don't matter, because no answer will bring her back. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." But this doesn't feel like imagination. It feels real, raw, and endless. So you listen to the advice. Go no contact. They say, disappear. Make her miss you. And you try. You delete her number. Avoid her social media. Force yourself not to text, even though your fingers ache just to type, "I miss you." You call this strength, but deep down, you're still waiting, still watching, still wondering if today she'll come back. That is not power. That is illusion. You don't hold the silence holds you. Epictetus reminds us, freedom is the power to choose your reaction. But in this stage, you have no power, because you're still tied to her, not by touch, but by thought. And until you cut that cord, until you reclaim your mind, you're still in chains. This isn't no contact. This is emotional imprisonment. But here's the truth. You can rise from the ashes, from the silence, from the pain, but not by waiting, only by mastering the one thing she cannot control, your mind. 4. The Stoic transformation, turning pain into power. Pain. It breaks most men. It turns them bitter, reactive, unstable, desperate for something, anything, to numb the emptiness inside. But the few who rise, they do something different. They don't run from the pain. They walk straight into it. They let it burn. Let it reveal. Let it transform. Because pain, when faced with courage, becomes more than suffering. It becomes fuel. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." And that's what he finally understood. Heartbreak wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The starting point of something greater. No more asking why. No more blaming her. No more wishing the past had played out differently. He took the pain and he shaped it into purpose. Every lonely night became a lesson. Every memory a mirror. Every silence a space to rebuild. He didn't seek revenge. He sought rebirth. And it started with the mind. He studied Stoicism like his life depended on it. Because in many ways, it did. He immersed himself in the wisdom of men who lived through chaos and conquered it from within. Marcus, Seneca, Epictetus. He learned that emotions are not to be suppressed, but to be mastered. That peace isn't given, it's built. That no one can destroy a man, whose worth is no longer attached to anything external. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." So he stopped avoiding adversity. He welcomed it. He trained his mind to respond, not react, to focus on what he controls: his actions, his effort, his energy, and to let go of what he doesn't: her decisions, her silence, her story. And then he turned to the body, because the mind sharpens the will, but the body proves it. He poured the pain into discipline. The gym became his temple. Each rep, a declaration, each drop of sweat, a vow to never be weak again. His posture changed. His presence changed. He no longer moved with doubt. He moved with intention. And people noticed. They always do. The same people who once overlooked him now paid attention. But he didn't do it for them. Not for here. Not for validation. He did it because he finally understood the version of him she left was never meant to survive. The man he's becoming, she was never supposed to have access to him. And that is the transformation. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady, deliberate, unshakable. Epictetus reminds us, no great thing is created suddenly. There must be time. Give your best and let it be. So he stopped rushing the process. He stayed the course. He trusted the grind, not to win her back, but to become someone even he could respect. And one day, he looked in the mirror and didn't see a man hoping for love. He saw a warrior forged by pain, calm, focused, free. And that's when he knew the pain didn't break him. It built him. This is the Stoic transformation, not just healing, becoming. 5. The dark side of attraction. Why they always come back. At first, she feels free. She thinks walking away means she's won, that you'll crumble, that you'll chase, that you'll do what so many men do: beg, plead, break. And maybe once you would have. Maybe once you did. But not now. Not this time. Because something in you has shifted. She expects obsession. You give her silence. She expects games. You give her nothing. She expects you to be there, forever in the background, just in case. But now, you're not just distant. You're gone. Not in body, but in spirit. Detached, disengaged, untouchable. And that's when it begins. The fear, the doubt, the questions she never thought she'd ask. Why isn't he watching my stories? Why isn't he reaching out? Has he moved on? And slowly, the control she thought she had begins to slip away. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." This is your trial, and it's made you sharp, precise, rare, because you've embraced the one truth most men run from. Desire is weakness. Desire to be wanted, to be needed, to be chosen, But now, you've stopped desiring, and you've started becoming. And in that space, in that silence, you've become what she never expected. A mystery, and nothing attracts like a man who cannot be figured out. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know the truth." And the truth is, she never truly knew your depth. She never saw the version of you that would rise from the wreckage, stronger, smarter, wiser, calmer. You no longer post quotes, hoping she'll notice. You don't upload pictures to make her jealous. You simply live, fully, unapologetically, for you. And when she checks back in, because they always do, she won't find the man she left. She'll find a stranger, a presence she no longer understands, a story she's no longer part of. That's the dark side of attraction. People don't crave what they have. They crave what they cannot control. And now that she can no longer reach you, she begins to spiral. Not out of love, but out of loss. Not because she sees your worth now, but because she realizes she can't affect you anymore. And that is what truly haunts her. Epictetus said, "We are not disturbed by events, but by the views we take of them." She thought you'd always be there. She thought her leaving would destroy you. But instead, it rebuilt you. And that's why she always comes back. Not to love you, but to test you, to see if the door is still open, to see if you'll break the moment she knocks. But this time, you won't, because you've learned something powerful. The goal was never to make her regret. The goal was to no longer care if she doesn't. And that is what makes you dangerous. 6. The silent domination, winning without words. There was a time when he needed to prove something. He would have posted quotes, shared photos from the gym, subtly hinted at how well he was doing, hoping she'd notice, hoping she'd miss him, hoping for a reaction. But that man is gone, because now he understands the truth. Real strength doesn't announce itself. It doesn't shout. It doesn't explain. It simply becomes undeniable. He's not playing mind games anymore. He's not trying to look okay. He is okay, because he's no longer performing for an audience that walked away. Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." And what if the person you were trying to impress was the very thing holding you back? That's what he finally saw. So now he doesn't block her. He doesn't delete old photos out of spite. He doesn't write cryptic captions or seek attention through stories. He just removes his energy. Not in anger, but in stillness, because that's what Stoics understand. Power is quiet. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." So he doesn't speak of change. He becomes change. He walks into every room with calm confidence, not because he wants her to see it, but because it's simply who he is now. No reaction, no bitterness, no emotional breadcrumbs for her to follow. Just a man, focused on his path, moving forward with purpose. And that's what disturbs her most. Not the silence, but the peace. Not the distance, but the absence of any emotional trace. It's like he was never even there. Like the love, the pain, the past have all vanished. And in a way, they have. Because he no longer identifies with who he was when she left. He's no longer clinging to the old version of himself. He's too busy becoming the man he was always meant to be. Epictetus reminds us, when someone irritates you, know that it is your own opinion which has irritated you. She may have tried to trigger him, but she no longer can, because he no longer gives her the power to define his value. Now, she scrolls through his profile, expecting sadness, and finds serenity. She asks mutual friends, "How is he and hers?" "He's doing great." But the worst part, he's not pretending, he's not acting strong, he's simply free. This is the silent domination. You don't win by proving her wrong. You win by no longer needing to prove anything. No closure, no final text. No need to tell your side of the story. Because when your presence becomes so powerful that even your absence says everything, you've already won. 7. The social shift, creating an aura of mystery. At first, he thought vanishing was the answer. To disappear, to go dark, to leave no trace. He believed that if she couldn't see him, she'd miss him, she'd regret, she'd feel the loss. But then he realized something deeper. Disappearance is too easy to explain. She would simply say, "He's still hurt. He's bitter. He's doing this for attention." And that's when everything changed. Instead of disappearing, he became unpredictable. He didn't flood his social media with progress. He didn't post sad quotes or forced motivation. He simply shifted, quietly, subtly, with precision. A story here, a post there, moments of strength without explanation. No captions screaming, "Look at me now." No clues for her to decode. Just presence. Real. Grounded. Composed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." He no longer needed to react, to show he was better, to prove anything. He simply was. And that is what created the mystery. Because now, she didn't know what to think. Did he move on? Is he seeing someone? Is he still hurting? She scrolled through his profile searching for signs, but all she found was confidence without context. No explanation. No signal. Just a man evolving without her, and it started to gnaw at her. Because people don't obsess over what they understand. They obsess over what confuses them, what they can't control, what they can't quite reach. Seneca once said, "What is harder than rock? What is softer than water? Yet hard rocks are hollowed out by soft water." And that's what mystery does. It seeps in. It wears away her certainty. Not by force, but by absence of clarity. He didn't unfollow her. He didn't block her. He didn't disappear. He became a question she couldn't answer. And that's more powerful than any angry goodbye. Because now, every version of him she thought she knew no longer exists. He walks differently, speaks less, smiles deeper. He's no longer broadcasting for her attention, because he's no longer on her frequency. Epictetus taught, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." So he stopped caring how she interpreted his silence. He stopped chasing perception and started building substance. The result, an aura she can't decode, a presence she can't predict, a life she's no longer invited to understand. He is the storm she didn't see coming, and now she can't stop watching the sky. But here's the truth. He didn't create mystery to lure her back. He created it by walking away from the need to be seen. That's what makes it real. That's what makes it magnetic. And when she finally realizes that the man she once knew is no longer looking for her approval, that's when the regret cuts deepest, because now he is not just gone, he is unreachable. 8. The final shift, becoming truly unbreakable. There comes a moment in every man's journey when the storm quiets. Not because the world got easier, not because the pain disappeared, but because he changed. Because for the first time, he looks at her name and feels nothing. No longing, no hate, no what if. Just stillness, not the numbness of denial, but the clarity of release. Marcus Aurelius once said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." And now, he finally understands that privilege, not as a man waiting for love, but as a man who has become whole. This is the final shift. The moment you no longer seek to impress. The moment you stop checking if she noticed. The moment you live for your purpose, not her presence. And it's not dramatic. It doesn't come with fireworks. No loud declarations. No need to tell the world, "I've moved on." It's quiet. It's internal. It's undeniable. Epictetus reminds us, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And now, you are. Your emotions no longer control you. Your past no longer defines you. Your worth no longer depends on how someone else sees you. She could walk by you today, and you'd smile, not from pain, not from pride, but from peace, because she no longer represents what could have been. She's just a chapter you've finished, a lesson you've learned, a page already turned. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." And bravery is not loud. Bravery is in waking up every day, choosing peace over vengeance, growth over validation, silence over chaos. You don't seek closure. Your evolution is the closure. You don't hope she regrets losing you, because she's not part of the life you're building. And here's the most powerful truth of all. The strongest man is not the one who gets her back. It's the one who no longer wants to, because he knows the version of himself that needed her was never built to last. But the man standing here today is forged by fire, calm under pressure, clear in direction, rooted in truth, unshakable, unbothered, unbreakable. This is not about her anymore. This never was. This is your rebirth. And no one, not even she, has the power to stop it. 9. The ultimate test, when she reaches out. It always happens. Maybe not this week. Maybe not this month. But eventually, she reaches out. Sometimes it's a simple, "Hey, how have you been?" Sometimes it's an old photo she likes at 2 a.m. Other times, it's silence broken by a vague memory. "I saw something today that reminded me of you." And in that moment, your heart skips. Your chest tightens. Your mind begins to race. Is this it? Has she realized? Is she coming back? But pause. Because this right here is the ultimate test. She's not coming back out of love. She's coming back out of curiosity, out of ego, out of a need to know. if she still has power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is where that power is needed most. Because if you respond too quickly, too eagerly, too emotionally, she'll see it. She'll feel it. And just like that, she'll know you were never really free. She'll know you were just pretending. And the moment she senses that, she'll vanish again, with more confidence than before. That's how the cycle repeats. That's how men get trapped in false hope again and again. But not you. Not anymore. Because now you understand. Her message is not an invitation. It's a test. To see if she can still access you. To see if you'll still open the door. Even after everything. Epictetus reminds us. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. So what do you do when she finally reaches out? You breathe. You feel the impulse, and you don't act on it. You let the emotion rise, and then you let it fall. Because your power doesn't come from what you say. It comes from what you no longer need to say. Maybe you don't respond at all. Maybe you do, but calmly, brief, polite, unmoved, no details. No. Remember when? No emotional openings, just stillness. And that will shake her more than silence ever did. Because now, she's the one wondering, she's the one doubting. Why isn't he chasing? Has he changed? Has he forgotten me? Seneca wrote. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. And to live without looking back, to move forward without explaining, that is the quiet courage most men never reach. But you did. You passed the test. You didn't break. You didn't beg. You didn't betray your growth for the comfort of the past, because this time you didn't need her to remember what she lost. You finally remembered what you deserve. And that is when the game ends. So now you know, it was never about her. It was never about getting someone back or proving your worth through silence. It was always about you. The moment you stop chasing, you start choosing. The moment you let go, you begin to rise. Because true strength is not loud. It's not desperate. It doesn't need to be seen. It's in your stillness, your direction, your refusal to break when the world expected you to fall apart. Marcus Aurelius said, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you. Things can't shape your life unless you allow them to." And now, you don't allow it. She may come back. She may not. It doesn't matter. Because you've already won. You've become the man who no longer waits, who no longer explains, who no longer needs to be understood. You are not trying to look strong. You are strong. Seneca taught us, a wise man is content with himself. And that's what this journey was always about. Becoming content. Becoming complete. Becoming untouchable. So, if you've made it this far, you're not broken. You're awakening. And from this point forward, you don't chase power. You own it. Now, go live. Live a life so full. So peaceful. So focused. That the past feels like a distant echo. And if it ever knocks again, you won't even hear it. Because the man you've become is already too far ahead.